So this is going to kind of try and unmystify a lot of the stuff that happens on the ship, the stuff that I didn't know before I started, and clearly stuff that people who sent me questions throughout the last year of working on the ships don't know either. So hopefully I can help. So a lot of the information will already have been covered in the job episode, but I'll kind of go through it. I'll touch upon it again anyway. We've got quite a few questions, so I'm going to try and get through them as quickly as I can. Firstly, I'd just like to thank everyone who did send a few questions over. Some of these questions were just questions that guests generally ask us, but then a lot of the other questions came from friends or people I went to university with, people like that. Joe Reed, thank you so much for sending in a bunch of questions. And people who, are just generally interested in the job. So here we go. Question number 1. What's your schedule like throughout the day? So our schedule will be fairly consistent when you have a cruise of about 7 days, which is the one I've just come off. So you have Sunday, which was our influx day of passengers. So we'd have the passengers would leave on the Sunday, and then the new ones would come on the Sunday. It would be the start of the cruise. And so generally on that day, unless we had a duty called Just Ask, which is where you have to stay on the ship and you're the first point of contact for people getting on the ship for information, that happened on a rotational basis. Unless you're on that, we would get up quite early, and it was kind of an admin day. You'd go and pick up your packages from the crew center, or you would go to Publix, or you would go and get your groceries or washing tablets, little things like that. So that would be kind of that day sorted. Then you get back on the ship and you'd have the drill, you'd have the muster station drill, so everyone had to attend that. We have duties there as well, which I'll explain later because I saw a question about that later on. Then we would do the drill, and then you would have a few hours in between where you would eat or kind of chill out or things, something like that. And then I would usually go and warm up at about 6 o'clock. 6 till 8, I would warm up and do some exercises to get my brain a bit woken up. Jesus. And so then we would play 8 until 12. So that was usually the first day that we'd have on the of the cruise. And so then every day going forward from there, we would be in port pretty much. I think the first day after the first sea day would be the day after. So you would have the Sunday, which would be when everyone would get on their first day. And then you would have a sea day. So the sea day, we'd usually like sleep in or something. Then you'd go for lunch, and then you would kind of again practice or do something that you're interested in. I know a lot of other people would, I don't know, film stuff or rehearse or practice or something like that. And then again, same thing again, at 6 o'clock or 5 or 6 o'clock, I would go and do some exercises, I'd warm up, and then the gig would be 8 till 12 again. So that's kind of how the pattern would work. And then in the port days is when it would be different. So in port days, it'd be dependent on if you'd want to get off or not, or if you could get off or not, depending on if you're port manning. So you would get off and you would spend the day in port, and then you would get back, and then you would shower, change, eat, and then warm up and practice and go and do the gig again. So usually our schedule is 8 till 12 every night, and then we'd get 1 day off per cruise, or 1 night off per cruise. But apart from that, the schedule is pretty open, so you can kind of structure it how you want, what's best for you, if you want to get up late or early, whatever's best for you. The gym is a big one, so I'd always try and factor in an hour or 2 hours to go to the gym and during the day. But yeah, that's pretty much the schedule, 8 till 12, 4 45-minute sets of music per night, which is good. So yeah, are there any other roles in your contract other than a musician? Yes, there are. Like I've just said, so there'll be port manning and Just Ask, and the third one is the muster station. So you'll get assigned a muster station duty after all of your trainings when you first get on board on your first contract, and then once you've done those, you'll be assigned a role. And then every time you do the muster station drill at the start of the cruise, or the safety briefing as it's called, then you will do that. That'll be your primary duty, and then you'll have Just Ask and port manning. Port manning is when you have to stay on the ship for safety reasons. There has to be a certain amount of people left on the ship, so you get on a rotational basis. You will get put on that, and the same with Just Ask. Usually they sometimes pair up. So just ask, like I said, you'll be the first point of contact. You'll do 4 hours in the morning on embark day. So when the new guests are embarking, you will be their first point of contact to answer any questions they have about the ship. That's rotational as well. And then, yeah, and so that's it. Those are your 3 other duties apart from you actually playing music. Third question, how long are you at sea between docking in various destinations? It depends on the cruise, it really depends. If you're doing a crossing from New York to the UK, that's a four sea days in a row. So it really depends. But on a normal Caribbean cruise, it'll be 1 sea day after the embarkation day, and then 1 sea day at the end. So if it's a week, you'll have the embark day, then you have a sea day, then you have port, sea day, back in port. How often are you allowed off the ship? Yeah, you're allowed off quite often. It's dependent again on the itinerary and dependent on whether you're on Port Manning. But if you're not Port Manning, you can get off as much as you want. You can get off every day if you wanted to. Every day you're in port. So we're pretty lucky to do the job we do, where we are allowed off the ship to do these things. Fourth question. Do you stay over on land or on ship between sailings? So I'm not sure what that one means. I think it either means, do we stay on the ship all the time, or do we come home off the contract? I don't know. Anyway, when you're off the contract, you come home. When you're on the ship, you stay on the ship for 6 months. You will literally stay on the ship, unless I've heard you can do like when you have an overnight. I think if the ship is there from like 7 PM till 7 PM the next night, I think you're allowed off, but I'm not sure. We haven't done one, so I don't know. Do you need to pay the cruise liners if you leave before the 7-month contract is up due to family issues or any other circumstances? No, you don't. You don't need to pay them. Sometimes, if it's a family bereavement, they have situations where they will be able to send you home on like compassionate leave and things like that, and then you'll be able to come back to the ship. If your contract's been terminated because you've been like fired or you've something like that, then you will not get paid, and I think they just send you straight home. But under special circumstances, I know that they're a really good company to work for in that sense. They'll send you home with all the necessary things, and then you'll be able to come back. So that's good. Do you have to pay for food and laundry? No, you don't. You don't have to pay for food. You don't pay for your room, and you don't pay for laundry. You just buy your laundry tablets, and even then, you can get laundry tablets on the ship if you really want to. You can get the ship ones. I personally use my own ones just because I know the ones I like, but I know you can use the ones on the ship, and the laundry is free, and they've got like dryers and everything you need. Are there any issues with work visas, and who organizes the visas? So they will send you everything you need. The company will send you everything you need to know about visas, and they'll send you a kind of like a step-by-step process of getting your visas. You need 2 visas, a B1 and a C1. One is like a transit, and the other one is like a rehearsal thing, I think. But they'll send you everything, and you go to if you're from the UK, you go to London, you go to the American Embassy, because Carnival's an American company. You go to the American Embassy to get your American visas. It's all fairly straightforward. You never really have any problems with it. But yeah, they'll send you everything you need. What are the living quarters like? The living quarters are quite small, to be honest. Usually, depending on your position, so I'm obviously the drummer in the rock band, so we will always share with someone else, and it's not necessarily someone from your band. This time I was sharing with a video tech, last I was sharing with a tech from the shows, so it won't always be that. That's quite nice because you might work an opposite schedule. I've lucked out twice in the sense that the guy that I was sharing with was working opposite shift patterns to me, so he would work when I wasn't working, and I would work when he wasn't working, so we always kind of had the room to ourselves, which is great. But then they're not very big, obviously. Usually they're bunk beds, and so it is what it is. It's part of the job. You're not paying for it, so you have to just see it in that way. If you make the room quite homely, you'll get used to it, and 2, you'll actually kind of like it in the end. And then it makes coming home and having your own room and having your own space again kind of like amplified, so you enjoy that a bit more. But it's great. I've never really seen a problem with it. has working on the ships created any other musical opportunities by working on the cruise liners? So I've only worked for Carnival for a year, and so it hasn't created any musical opportunities in the UK as of yet, but I'm sure working on the cruises does a great deal for your playing and for your CV and things like that, which will help get other musical opportunities. I'm sure also that people that you work with on the ships, if and when they become lifelong friends, those are the people you've worked with for the last however many years you're going to do the ships for. So naturally you're going to think of them if any musical gigs come up, and they'll think of you if any musical gigs come up. So I'm sure that that'll be the way it works. So not yet in the answer to the question, but I'm sure it will at some point. What is the equipment like on the cruise liners? Is it electrical or acoustic? Again, I can only answer for Carnival Cruise Line. Carnival Cruise Lines use the TD50, the Roland kits, which are great. They're not acoustic kits because I think it's a sound management problem, so they need to kind of manage the sound as best they can, which is why they use the systems they do. But it's great. It does everything you need it to do, and like I always try and think of it as, although every drummer will always want an acoustic drum kit, you're learning another piece of equipment again, and being able to program that in itself is quite a challenge. So once you've got scripts of that, that's great. But then also, the movements, and although the rebounds and stuff off the skins and the cymbals aren't going to be exactly the same, the movements and the physical range of playing an electric kit is almost identical to playing an acoustic kit. So, the range and where you're positioning things and your musicality and things like that is not going to change. So, although it's, like I said, although every drummer wants an acoustic drum kit, this is still great. Like, you're still getting paid to play drums. So, whatever they give you is great. But yeah, Carnival is electric primarily, unless you're doing America Rocks, the show on the stage, I think. Do you have to provide your own gear? I take some of my own gear. I've got my own SPDX sample pad, so I take that with me. That comes with its own stand. I take that. I take my DW9000 pedal with me. I take obviously your sticks and practice pads. I think things like that. And I think that's about it. Drum stools is a big one. Drum stools. I always try and take my own drum stool with me because it's hydraulic and it prevents a lot of back problems. And if you get to the ship and the drum stool isn't what you need it to be, then you've got your own one anyway. So I try and do that. One just says sharing rooms. Yeah, you share a room on the ship depending on your position. How did you get the job? I got the job through Entertainers Worldwide. I saw an application for Carnival Cruise Lines, and so I subscribed to them, and then I applied to Carnival, and then I auditioned online, and then I got the job, and then I did the job. So that's how I got it in a nutshell. If you want to know more about that, go to the my job episode, and you will see, and the audition episode, and you'll see how exactly I got the job and the process of the actual audition and application process. Where do you play? Where do you play? Again, depending on the ships, depending on what your itinerary is. So this time we were very, very lucky. Last ship on the Sensation, we played on a kind of side stage opposite the casino, and we didn't move. We stayed there the whole time. Whereas this time we played in the Red Frog pub, so we had our own venue, and we also did something called 80s Rock and Glow Party, which was out on the open deck. So we actually, once a week, we took all the equipment up to the main stage, to the stage on the open deck by the pool, outside, and we would do a full 80s night, 80s Rock and Glow Party night, and that was amazing. So we got to move around, which was really, really cool. If you do the shows, you'll be playing on the stage once a week as well, which is something that I'm going for in the next few contracts. I want to play on a stage show, so that'll be something different again. You'll play in your normal venue, and then you'll also play on the stage. So that's what I want to do next. But yeah, you'll have a venue, and then depending on the ship, you will move about maybe once to another venue. Is it a really heavy reading gig? In a really short answer, yes, it is. It's very heavy reading, and that terrified me before I started this whole thing. Like, reading wasn't my strong suit. It was always something that I was really nervy about, and I hated the thought of someone giving me a fresh chart and audition, because it happened loads. and you have to read it on the spot, and it was horrible. But yes, it's a very heavy reading gig. You play about 250 to 260 songs a week, and so you're not going to memorize all of those, and so you have to be able to read to play the gig. But if you can get in with the company on your reading ability level as it is, even if it isn't absolutely outstanding, even if you can't read as good as like Peter Erskine can or something like that, then you will improve at a very, very quick rate if you get in, because you have no choice. You have to read you have to read as much as you possibly can. And that's been my advice to anyone who's emailed me about the job and asked for charts and stuff like that. I've always tried to help out and send charts, and that's the best thing you can do. Read as many charts as you physically can and get used to seeing different patterns and stuff like that. And once you do that, once you start seeing the patterns that emerge, you will start to recognize them, and then they will become less scary and more familiar. And so that when a new chart gets presented, you can be like, well, I've seen this before. I've seen this bass drum melody line before, or pattern line. I've seen, you know, these hits before. You know, oh, when I, you know, in this song, you know, on the hour 4, I'm gonna, you know, I usually fill into it like this, and this is no different, and this new song is no different, this new pattern's no different. So try and do things like that. But yes, it's a very heavy reading gig, so the more material you can get your hands on, the better. There's no way around it. You can't, unfortunately, avoid reading and being able to read really well for these jobs. But, you know, the more you read, the better you'll become at it, and when you get into the job, you read twice as much. And every contract you get a new 250 songs, so you know, your reading becomes very, very good overnight. So, well, not overnight, but you know what I mean. Do they give you the charts and material you need? Yes and no. Yes and no. They give you, they're kind of obliged, your MDs, to give you as much information as they can about the job and as many charts, but for a lot of the charts you won't have any sheet music. So if I was you, I'd become also very familiar with charting your own songs. The next episode after this one, I'm going to do it on Fourscore. Fourscore is the program that musicians use across the fleet, every musician, to upload their charts, to make amendments on their charts, and to have as many charts on there as they can. So, you know, and they can order them into sets. I'm going to go through a whole, not a tutorial because I'm not an expert, but you know how I use it basically. But yeah, they give you as many charts, I think, as they hopefully can give you. They don't obviously want to leave you without charts, and there's a negative side to not giving you the charts as well, because when you get to the studios, you might be on a completely separate page to them if you had to chart the song yourself. So it's more beneficial if you're all reading off the same chart, so you're all on the same page, if that makes sense. And so yeah, get used to writing your own charts, get used to being able to chart out stuff quickly, get used to, you know, notating everything and you know, trying to find where the stabs are. There are some songs that are really difficult to find where the stabs lie and stuff like that. So get used to charting your own songs and you'll be fine. Most of the stuff that I don't get charts for, I don't get sent charts for, I either buy them online, because there's a bunch of resources for that, or I chart them myself. I literally physically chart them myself, and I've done that for over like 100 charts probably. And that helps because it's your own handwriting as well. Will the MDs tell you what you'll need to take with you? Yeah, they should. You should be able to have a conversation with your MD a few weeks before you go out. Don't expect it to be like months before. That's something that I got wrong on my first contract. I thought I was gonna have ages to prep. I had 11 or 12 days to prep as much as I could. So they usually get in touch, and then you'll be able to ask them everything you want to, and so they will answer any questions you have as to what you need to take with you, what you don't, what equipment you'll be using, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, they will tell you. What are your ambitions after the ships? So I've got like goals within the ships that I want to achieve. I want to play on the new Mardi Gras, the brand new ship that Carnival are bringing out. I want to play in a stage show, America Rocks, which is what I'm going to apply for next contract. So yeah, I want to play on an inaugural contract, which means it's the first time the ship has sailed. I want to play on an inaugural contract, and I want to play on a stage show. So those are my goals within the company, and I want to play the Mardi Gras. So those are the ones that I'm doing within the company. And then post ships, my ultimate absolute dream is to play pop music, tour pop music with the UK's biggest acts basically. Adele is The one, I want to play for her so much. I've always wanted to play for her my whole life. So I think that I've got a few goals, like I want to play Glastonbury, main stage, and I want to, yeah, I want to tour with big UK pop artists. That is the dream and the goal after the ships. I have no idea how that's going to work. I have no idea, I have no connection so far. But I'm sure I will do my absolute best to do it, and I'm sure I will document it, my failures and my successes, hopefully on the video series. But yeah, that's my goal. Those are my goals and dreams after the ships. Is this way of going about it helping achieve that goal? So is playing for the ships achieving the goal? I like to think so. I really think so. I think you're better off, obviously you're better off in a job that is very, very much related to the end goal job you want than if you weren't. If I was working still front of house, I wouldn't be close to that goal. I could be practicing in my room every day, but I'm not closer to the goal because I'm not doing the job. I'm doing the job now on the ships. I'm playing every single night, which is what they do on tour. I'm, you know, honing my craft. I'm playing every night. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I'm amending those mistakes. I'm practicing, learning, watching masterclasses, buying new drum books, constantly watching new drummers and what they're doing, and, you know, older drummers and what they're doing. So yeah, I would say everything that I'm doing in the job now is a way of getting to this end goal and this end result. It's going to be really difficult, obviously. Getting here was difficult, playing the ships was difficult, but I did that, so I don't see why this is going to be any different. But yeah, I really feel like this is a way of going about achieving that goal. And that's it. I tried to keep this as quick as I can. What are we up to, 20 odd minutes? And so yeah, that's the first Q&A done, first Beyond the Veil done. And so hopefully that's helped answer all of your questions, all of you. I'm acting like I've got like, like loads of people asking me these questions. I mean, these are just accumulated over the year, but so it might be a lot over the year, but you know what I mean. Obviously I'm not on a ship right now. I'm at home. I'm in Swansea, in Wales, and so it's a bit of a weird time in the world. This coronavirus thing is impacting a lot of people's work, especially the entertainment industry, but you know, everyone. And so we're off the ship at the moment. We will be hopefully going back in a few months' time, resuming operations so we can keep doing what we love. But yeah, we're just sitting tight at the moment. But if you were wondering why I'm sitting in my flat and not on a cruise ship, not that you would have known, this is why. So yeah, we're home at the moment and hopefully we'll be going back soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I hope you'll enjoy the next episode. And please, yeah, like as always, try and circulate this information and try and get it as out there as possible. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode.